"You're off the project," the message read. Laura didn't reply. She stayed at her desk as the office lights shut down around her. Laura didn't answer right away. She just stared at the message glowing on her screen, the rest of the office lights already dimmed. The cursor blinked, waiting for a reply she would never send. Somewhere down the hall, the cleaning crew's vacuum hummed, steady, distant, almost soothing. She shut her laptop but didn't move. The air in the cubicle felt heavier than it should. For months, she'd brushed off the comments. The "you've got potential" kind of talk that started as mentorship and drifted somewhere else. Late-night messages. Smiles that lasted too long. Invitations that sounded professional until they didn't. That night, though, the tone changed. It wasn't charm anymore. It was control. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. She turned it face down. Her reflection flashed in the dark screen. Calm, unreadable. Inside, her stomach felt tight, like her body was catching up to what her mind already knew. She packed up slowly. Her mouse clicked louder than usual. Even that small sound made her flinch. In the elevator, she saw her own badge photo, smiling, confident, months ago. The doors closed on that version of her. By the time she reached her car, rain had started, light, uneven drops on the windshield. She sat there a moment, headlights cutting through the drizzle, replaying every conversation she'd had with him. "You know, I could really help your career. You shouldn't overthink friendly feedback. Be careful with how you treat people above you." Each line now sounded different. Each one had weight she hadn't wanted to name. She turned on the wipers. The sound was rhythmic, mechanical. She thought about deleting the messages, like she always did. But this time, her hand stopped halfway to the screen. Instead, she scrolled back to the first one, weeks old, and hit save. Then another. Then another. The wipers kept moving. Outside, the rain turned steady. Inside the car, something shifted. Not anger yet, just clarity. She didn't know what she'd do next. Only that this, finally, wouldn't disappear quietly. The next morning, the office felt louder than usual. Phones ringing, keyboards clattering, the usual morning rush that made everything look normal. Laura moved through it quietly, coffee in one hand, her badge swiping green at the door. Paul was already there, standing by the printer with that easy grin. "Morning, superstar," he said. His tone landed wrong. Too casual, too knowing. She nodded once, kept walking. He called after her. "You've been a little distant lately." She didn't stop, just kept walking until the noise of the hallway covered his voice. At her desk, she opened her email. Meetings she used to be invited to gone. Project updates, suddenly reassigned. One note from HR, copied to everyone but her. The pattern was obvious now. It wasn't her imagination. For a while she just watched the inbox refresh, each new message arriving like a small test of what she'd tolerate next. The calm she'd built the night before started to crack. The office noise pressed closer. Phones, chairs, footsteps, like the building itself was listening. Then she opened her personal folder, saved. Dozens of messages lined up like quiet witnesses. The subject lines told their own story. "Dinner tomorrow? Feedback after hours. Let's keep this between us." She scrolled through them slowly, not to relive, but to confirm. To see what he'd written, in his own words, and how easily he'd assumed she'd never fight back. A coworker passed by, asked if she was joining the morning meeting. "Didn't get the invite," she said. The woman hesitated, looked at her screen, then walked off. Silence said enough. Around noon, Paul walked by her cubicle, leaned on the divider like nothing had changed. "You and I still good?" he asked, voice low. Laura looked up, calm, steady. "I'm just focusing on my work." He smiled, the kind that hides a threat behind politeness, and walked away. Her pulse slowed only after he disappeared around the corner. She waited a few seconds, then minimized her inbox and opened a blank document. Title, Meeting Notes, Private. She began typing. Every date, every time, every comment she could remember. Her fingers didn't shake this time. The noise of the office faded behind the rhythm of her typing. Each word was quiet, but firm, a record of what had been said and what she would no longer ignore. When she finished, she saved the file, stared at the screen, and whispered to herself, "No more deleting." That Friday night, she stayed late. The office was nearly empty, just the hum of air vents and the soft flicker of lights switching to energy save mode. On her screen, a spreadsheet filled with columns of names and dates. Nothing unusual, at least not to anyone else. But every line hid something. Message times, meeting changes, notes on how her projects had been reassigned right after each friendly text. She took a slow breath, clicked export. A soft chime followed. That little notification sound she'd heard 1,000 times before, now sharper somehow. The progress bar crawled across the screen. Her reflection in the monitor looked steady, but her hand pressed hard on the desk. Halfway through, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She froze, then saw the text. Still up working? You know dedication looks good on you. No name, but she didn't need one. She turned the phone face down again and let it vibrate once more before she powered it off. The only sound left was the soft whir of the printer across the room. She stood, walked over, and printed every file she'd saved. The pages slid out one by one, warm to the touch. She stacked them neatly, like evidence waiting for light. By the time she got home, the rain had started again, colder this time. She placed the folder on her kitchen table, next to a half-finished mug of tea from the morning. She sat for a while, hands folded, listening to the refrigerator hum. Then she opened her laptop and searched EOC confidential consultation. The words looked clinical, almost detached. She hesitated before clicking. A small window appeared. Schedule your intake interview. Laura's fingers hovered, then clicked Monday, 9 a.m. For the first time in weeks, her shoulders dropped a little. Not relief, more like alignment. Everything inside her finally pointed in one direction. Before shutting down, she sent one last message, not to him, but to a friend in HR compliance she trusted. Need to talk Monday. Quietly. The reply came 2 minutes later. Got it. Don't worry. Just bring everything. She closed her laptop. The rain hit harder now, echoing against the window. She looked at the folder on the table, the one that had started as fear and turned into proof. Tomorrow, she thought, she'd buy a flash drive. Small, ordinary, impossible to erase. Monday started quiet. Too quiet. The hum of monitors, the soft tapping of keys, all of it felt like background noise for something bigger she couldn't yet see. Laura arrived early, coffee still steaming in her hand, the folder zipped inside her bag. She had her EOC intake call at 9. By 8:45, her phone buzzed. Her friend from HR compliance, short message. They've started reviewing. Don't react. She read it twice, then locked her screen. At 9 sharp, her desk phone rang. Not her cell, not Teams, the actual phone, the one no one ever used anymore. She lifted the receiver, listened. A calm, practiced voice introduced herself as an EEOC investigator. Questions followed, simple, direct. Did she feel pressured? Were there written communications? Had retaliation occurred? Each, yes, landed like a weight she'd been carrying for weeks. When it ended, the investigator's tone softened. We'll contact your company's legal department for documentation. You've done the right thing. The right thing. The phrase echoed. It didn't feel heroic, just necessary. An hour later, Paul walked past her cubicle, his usual swagger muted. He was on the phone, voice tight. That's ridiculous. There's no basis for. He stopped mid-sentence when he saw her. For a split second, something in his expression flickered, surprise, maybe fear. Then he turned away. By noon, IT announced a system-wide security audit. Every few minutes, screens flickered as access credentials refreshed. People muttered, joked about it. Laura kept typing. When her monitor blinked and a small pop-up appeared, session expired, please contact admin. She didn't move. She already knew whose session would stay expired. Paul's voice carried faintly from his office, louder now, defensive, scattered. Then the sound stopped. Footsteps. Silence. The kind that stretches too long. He left without a word, jacket half-zipped, phone in hand. HR followed minutes later. The door to his office closed, then opened again, empty now, lights off. Laura stared at it across the hallway. The same door where he'd once leaned, smiling, calling her promising. Around her, work continued, calls, printers, muted laughter. The world didn't stop. But she felt it, the shift. The thing she'd built quietly had moved. Her hands trembled once, then steadied. When an internal email appeared in her inbox, administrative leave notification, Paul Ricks, she didn't smile. She just exhaled, slow, controlled. Outside, rain started again, faint against the glass. She turned off her monitor. For the first time, she didn't feel watched. 2 weeks later, the air in the office felt different. lighter somehow, though no one said it out loud. The blinds stayed half open, letting in that pale Seattle light that never quite decided to be sun. The same desks, the same screens, the same hum. Just quieter. Laura came in early again. Habit. The elevator doors opened to an almost empty floor. She walked past Paul's old office, blinds drawn, nameplate gone. A faint rectangle of cleaner paint still marked where it used to be. She stopped for a second, then kept walking. At her desk, a small envelope waited. HR letterhead. She opened it carefully. We appreciate your cooperation in recent compliance matters. Your commitment to maintaining workplace integrity is commendable. The words were formal, distant, but honest. She folded the letter and tucked it in her drawer. It wasn't closure, exactly, but it was something. Later that morning, she was asked to join a meeting in the large conference room, the same one where, months ago, she'd sat across from him pretending not to notice how his compliments never stayed professional. Now the air was neutral again. Just another Monday. She set up her laptop, connected to the projector. The fan inside it whirred softly, filling the pauses between voices. Someone from the new leadership team talked about rebuilding trust, about policy updates, about a safer, clearer workplace. She listened, not because she had to, but because she'd earned that stillness. When the meeting ended, she stayed behind for a minute. The projector's light faded, leaving a pale square on the wall. In that silence, she remembered the first line that started all of it. Let's not make this awkward. The phrase didn't sting anymore. It was just data now. Evidence, processed, archived, gone. She closed her laptop. The clicks sounded final, almost like a seal. Walking back to her desk, she noticed her reflection in the glass partition. Calm, focused, professional. The same woman, but not the same person. Outside, the rain had stopped. Light dripped through the windows, soft and cold. She opened a new document. Campaign proposal, Q4. Typed the first line, paused. The room hummed around her. Same sound, new meaning. Somewhere behind her, a printer started, steady, familiar, alive. She looked once toward the empty office door. The space stayed quiet. Then back to the screen, the cursor blinking, patient, like a heartbeat. She smiled, small, real, and kept typing.